Hello, beautiful creatures. I'm going to pass on a quick message from Spirit. Can't forget the sacred tobacco. I hope everybody's life has been exquisite, educational, enlightening. I hope life has been teaching you all that you need to learn to become the best you possible. I'm using the Moonology deck today. And we got Surrender to the Divine. We spend a lot of time looking outside of ourselves for something to save us from the uncertainty of existence. And there can be a lot of pain and suffering in that. The sky is absolutely gorgeous today. We can spend a lot of time suffering when we're seeking validation. We're seeking comfort. We're seeking common ground. We're seeking someone to be ourselves around. And this is it's quite sad when we do this, because then we define ourselves by that presence of an external other, and it might not exactly be the best thing for us. Surrendering to the divine might feel scary. Recognizing and relearning to be your primary person, your best friend. I think it's on Friends, but they talk about the concept of the lobster. That loving lobster and that thing that you're trying to find. The media will always portray it as an external other. But in real life, the true power and the true love is found when you surrender this desire and you make a conscious decision to love yourself in the way that you would love a best friend, or in the way that you would love a child. Loving yourself in all the ways that you desire to be loved is the way out of this painful cycle of trying to find an external other. When you surrender to the divine, there is also an opportunity to find within yourself great support, not only from yourself, but from great sources of like a brilliant, all-truthful, all-knowing, all-loving, all-understanding, compassionate source of greatness, which many humans can hold within them, but they can't be for you what the divine can be for you. And what the divine can be for you is exactly all those things. A friend, a support system, something quite beautiful that enables you to feel safe and secure. There can be an utmost reliance on spirit, on source, on the divine, because they don't have a human body that is constraining them from being able to help many people at once. They are able to help so many people all at one time. And with any request that you might have, the divine is always there for you. If you ask, you will receive. So there's a lot of things like distractions that can get in the way of us seeing and experiencing the divine. It all starts with a choice. When we make the decision to trust the divine, to trust source, to trust spirit, this will also enable greater self-trust and greater abilities to feel comforted and safe in your own presence. I didn't used to like the word surrender because I thought it meant to fail or give out your power. And I knew I'd already done a lot of that throughout my life already. Surrendering to the divine is not like surrendering to war. In a conflict, surrendering in a conflict is different than surrendering to the divine. When you surrender to the divine, you're granted so much love and care and guidance that aligns with who you truly are. Other humans might not have your best interest in mind or at heart, and they might be speaking from a place of their own personal experience rather than from a place of your truth. While there's tarot card readers and oracles, shamans that can help you tap into your truth, what is best for you is to know and to understand yourself and to see yourself as divine, and to surrender to this idea of feeling whole on your own. I know that there's this concept, this generalized, normalized idea that finding an external other is the only way to become whole. But that is so not the case. There's no human qualification that says you must find an external other to be valid, to be worthy. There's no age. There's no age cap on when the time to get married or the time to be in a relationship. There's no rush. There's no rush. The more you rush, the more you act out of fear, the more you respond out of trauma, and out of lack, you might be making those decisions too hastily. And that might knock you off your path entirely. You might receive something that you've been asking for, but before you've really recognized yourself and before you've really come to know yourself for all that you are. So then an external other is actually covering up all the beauty and all the gold that you have to shine. An external, like a significant other, a partner, a relationship can be like an avalanche on your existence. It's a whole other world to understand and to deal with. And if you don't first understand yourself and feel comforted by your own presence and supported by your own self, then these relationships, they do tend to crumble because they're based on very unstructured foundations. So that is the message today, to surrender to the divine, to allow yourself to feel free in yourself. And when you are finding yourself alone, that is a great time for potential. That's a great time for you to harness your abilities that we don't get to see unless we take the time to surrender. When we surrender and be still, in that calm we find clarity. What are the chances that they didn't surrender to the divine? What are the chances that those people feel like they need to be heard? But are seeking it in places that might be an end in loss and suffering. Or simply just unbecoming. In order to find yourself, sometimes you have to give up some things that feel comfortable. Sometimes you have to let go of certain ideas and instead take the time to prioritize yourself, to surrender to the issues and the pains, the sadness within. Give it a place. Give your mind a minute to just exist without all external stimuli, without seeking, craving this normalized idea of a relationship, and build that relationship with yourself. Because ultimately that is what is going to enable your best life. And that starts with really listening to your heart, really listening to your feelings, listening to yourself in times of distress. If right away you want, oh, I thought that was a big bug, just a petal. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's jumping out at me. If you find yourself craving another's presence when you're in a state of sadness, what you really might need, because another person can help in the moment, but that doesn't heal the root. You really need your own support. You really need your own self. You really need, what would be incredibly beneficial is if you would open up a notebook and give yourself the time to relax and write all the things in your journal that you've been feeling and thinking. Give yourself a place to be heard. Surrender to the divine. Now is a great time for healing. Taking that time to explore your inner world. Shine a light on your shadows, meaning really regard them. Shining a light on your shadows means to look at them, to delve deep within yourself, within your soul, to uncover by analyzing, interpreting, by giving it space, the shadows and the darkness that you have endured and that you endure on the daily basis. It is safe to love yourself. It is safe to love yourself. That is what will save you. Self-love. Self-preservation. Self-exploration. Self-determination. I think that is the conclusion of the message for today. Surrendering to the divine is very important. Surrendering to yourself and not distracting yourself the moment things go awry, but giving that feeling of chaos, of sadness, of depression, giving it a second look, shining a light onto it with your eyes, with your heart, really feeling it. That is how you find yourself, because in those painful emotions, through those painful emotions, you start to realize yourself. You start to self-actualize, and you start to see yourself in a way that you need to see yourself in order to grow and to develop. Inner reliance.